our first course. This tasty little hors d'oeuvre. These are my cheddar and chutney bites, and they're all ready to roll. You don't defrost them or anything. That's not what we're talking about. We just need to top them off with a little bit of cheddar cheese. And this is how you always finish it after you freeze them, just to give them that little creaminess on top. And then we already preheated the oven to 375 degrees. And they go in and reheat about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we're just going to finish them under the broiler. And they get all bubbling and hot and wonderful. I mean, this would be great. It doesn't just have to be an hors d'oeuvre. This could be great for an afternoon, you know, watching the TV football party. There we are, back to TV. I don't know what it is. TV dinners and TV just seem to go together. So here we go. And just 15 to 20 minutes later, we'll take a peek at them, right from the frozen state, right on the tray that we need them to be on. And what did we make them from? Well, as if it wasn't nice enough to have something in the freezer, it also was a very simple recipe. We started with our pastry. Look at this. You're saying, that's not pastry. This is bread, right? We're using homemade style white bread as our base, and it's a great little trick to know. So what you do is you just quite simply roll it out, and I mean really the nice homemade style stuff, not that other stuff that you can condense into a little spitball, because it just doesn't taste good. This has, you know, a pretty nice flavor. I grew up with this. My mom sort of knew better, and it works very well both straight up and in this recipe. And after you've rolled it out, see it smushes way down, even though it isn't that spitball stuff. You cut out, oh, this one's even a little thinner, 2 rounds using a cutter. Certainly if you don't have a cutter, you can just use a glass. These are handy little cutter things to have, but don't worry about it if you don't. And then we've melted some butter, and we're going to pre-bake these because they need to be crispy. So we just butter it first. Oh, by the way, you can save all these little bits here and just throw them into the blender when you're done, make breadcrumbs, put them in a bag in the freezer, and then you've got fresh breadcrumbs anytime you need them. So a little bit of a brush with some butter, and we ease them into the mini muffin tins. Now, I love mini muffin tins. They're just great for all sorts of things besides mini muffins, like what we're doing right here. But you can miniaturize almost anything you're making by cooking it in here. These go back into the oven at 375 for about 5 minutes. I'm just going to put these in the bottom oven until they get golden, and I'll show you what they look like in just a second. Now, you set these up ahead of time. You could use these for other fillings as well. For example, you could make like a homemade applesauce with a little rum and raisins and fill them up, and then you'd have dessert. But we've already cooked ours right here. We just get all my burners together. And you see they get sort of nice and crispy, and they're buttery at the same time. They're just wonderful. So we're going to start with our base here. We're making a basic white sauce. And for that, we've got 2 tablespoons of butter already melted in there. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour, just all-purpose flour. This is how you start any thickened sauce with butter and flour, a roux thickened sauce. Whisk it up with a whisk, equal parts always. And then we're going to add some hot cream. Or you could use milk. Doesn't have to be cream. Could be half and half, actually. Whatever you'd like it to be is fine. You want to cook your roux a little bit before you ever get the hot cream in there. And why you add it hot is because when you add your liquid hot, it prevents the whole thing from getting lumps. So let's say we've cooked this for a few minutes. You want to get the starch out both before and after you add the liquid. Here we go. And then whisk away furiously, just to prevent those lumps. It helps if the roux is roughly the same temperature as the liquid. And then we're going to bring this up to a boil as soon as we get all of that in there. All right, let me turn it up a bit. And while that's cooking, and you'll see how thick it's going to get in just a minute, I'm going to start filling my little shells here with some bought chutney. Chutney, this is mango chutney. There's many different kinds out there. And this adds, chutney and cheddar is just a magic combination. In England, they have this thing they call the ploughman's sandwich, which they serve in bars, or at least they used to. I haven't been in England in a long time, which is a sandwich made of chutney and cheddar on crusty bread, and it's absolutely a delicious combination. And I just love it. All right. You know, it's sort of that sweet and the cheese. I mean, Latin cultures do that too, with the quince and the cheese, sort of sweet and salty. All right, let me go back and give this a whisk, and I'll come back and do some more in just a second. It's bubbling around the edges. You want to get in the corners as well. A good tool for this is a flat whisk, but I'm just going to use a spatula I mean a rubber scraper. These are great rubber scrapers because they can take the heat, even caramel. They can get really, really hot. There we go. But you need to get in those corners because that's where all the stuff is stuck. And it's come up to a boil. Now, recipes that say cook it until it's thickened make me angry because actually what happens when you're working with a roux, the flour butter mixture, is as soon as you bring it up to a boil, it will reach basically its full thickening capacity. And then you need to just turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for half a second. Well, actually, the rule is for every tablespoon of flour, you should simmer it a minute, and that's to get rid of the starchy taste. So now that we've done that, brought it up to a boil and simmered it, let's say 1-2 minutes, we're going to add our cheddar cheese and the rest of our flavorings. We've got a little bit of ham. You could leave the ham out if you want to keep this vegetarian. I turned off the heat because we don't want the cheese to get too hot. And we've got a pinch of cayenne pepper here. Cayenne's always nice with cheddar. It's a happy combination. And mustard, which is another usual combination with when you're working with cheddar. Cheddar and mustard is wonderful. I'm just going to take a little spoon from here. There we go. And however much you want to add, you know, I would taste it afterwards just to double check. And there we go. We've got our mixture. So we're going to let that continue to melt. I'm going to finish filling these up, but let me show you that just how to set up one. Because this is the point at which, after this is all melted, so I'm going to put this right on top of my chutney, that you would freeze them. This is where we came in. So you let it cool off, you put them in the freezer, you cover the whole thing tightly, and boom, when you come back later, months later, they'll keep a month in the freezer, you can go ahead and bake them just like we did. Welcome back. We're making some homemade frozen TV dinners. And this doesn't look like something that was made in a factory, does it? Doesn't that look delicious, all melted? So I'm just going to transfer these guys to the, we've got a little tray here. They stick, oh, these look so good. You have to let them cool for a second because they just literally are going to melt in your mouth. But right now, actually, they burn off the roof of your mouth, so you have to give them a second. And they're quite wonderful and aromatic. I'll just get a few more on here. This is your first course or your anytime course, or those nasty people just showed up your door with no notice and they expect some sort of hors d'oeuvre. A little garnish with some fresh herbs and boom, you're in business. I gotta let them cool off before I taste them, although I'm dying to dive in.
In California, we love sweet potatoes. I love them because of that orange color, and they're slightly sweeter than regular potatoes. And I bake mine instead of frying them up, so a little healthier as well. This is what I do. I cut the two ends off, then I cut it in half. See that beautiful orange color? And then I cut them again into thirds. Then you want to turn them over and just cut them until you get like a steak fry. Just like that. See? Easy. I'm going to add just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. They'll absorb the olive oil and get nice and crunchy. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I'm also going to make a basil salt later on, so I'm just adding a little salt to flavor them. And just give them a quick little toss, just so they're all evenly coated in the olive oil. All right, perfect. So now I just have to bake them at 400 degrees for 45 minutes until they're crisp and golden and even sweeter. Wow, those look so good. They've baked for 45 minutes. Now I'm ready to make my basil salt. So I'm gonna chop some fresh basil. I'm basically doing two things in one. Instead of sprinkling the basil separately from the salt, I'm gonna do it all in one. So I'm just gonna chop my fresh basil. Boy, do I love the smell of basil. It's minty and lemony. It's gonna be perfect on top of my sweet potato fries. So now, We'll add the basil right in there, into the bowl. Let's grab all of it. And a couple tablespoons of coarse salt. I'm using kosher salt, but you can use any coarse salt you want. And just mix it up, just like that. A little bit of pepper. And mix it up. There we go. Looks good. Now, while the sweet potatoes are still hot, I want to sprinkle them with this basil salt all over the top. It's great because the orange all of a sudden has little specks of the basil, the green basil on top. And you want to do it while they're still hot. That way they absorb the salt and the flavor of the basil. There we go.